Okay.
All right, you want to start it off?
Yeah, camera malfunction, but we're back. We're ready. We have a Red Bulls. So we have a topic.
I'm not supposed to have Red Bulls.
Oh, Misty better hide it on the side. First to go around, we're thanking people for subscribing. If you haven't yet, it would help us a ton if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where you can see all these episodes. You can go back and watch old ones. You can watch new ones when they come out. It's a great place to find them. So this one we want to kind of help small churches, right?
Yeah, and go back to, you've read the topic on the description of the video, but we're not trying to be like rude or mean or anything, because this is something that I believe all churches either have struggled with it or are struggling with it now.
Yeah, I hope you didn't read the topic and think, oh, this dude think they know everything.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't. Why does that never work? We're just having some malfunction today.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't have all the answers, but we have some insight, I guess, a little bit.
So, if you've read the topic, we're talking about why your church isn't growing.
That's a tough.
And we're saying this not as like a negative way, like you said, but kind of we want to bring up ideas to help, because we do want to see your church grow, especially post-COVID. We want to see if your church has taken a hit and a lot of people are staying home, that's fine. But we do want to see your church grow, whether it is your online presence plus your in-person, or if it's your in-person, it's everything as a whole. We want to see it grow.
Yeah, and what we're going to be talking about is just kind of like a few things that come to our mind while we were working at a church, and thinking about it now outside of church. But there could be many possibilities of trying to find a solution to this answer.
I remember us having plenty of conversations, and part of this was just we were younger, and so the size of the church did matter to us, and it shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But us thinking, why aren't we growing?
Yeah, that's one of the things. Sometimes it's the size of the church.
Yeah.
It's not a big issue. I mean, it is for a pastor sometimes, but it's really the health of the church is really the bigger issue. But today we're going to be talking about why is it growing?
I think no matter who you are and how spiritual you are, or how big your church is, how small your church is, I think every person in leadership or a position of leadership at a church wonders why the church isn't growing.
Yeah.
Or the numbers do kind of bother you, even though we say don't.
Yeah.
I remember, this isn't the main, but a student ministry, like 6 kids would come and be like, dang, why aren't more kids coming?
Mm-hmm.
And people say, don't let it get to you.
And sometimes we'll have like 20.
Yeah, and I'd be so confused, but stuff like that did get to me, and I know it gets to other people.
Yeah.
So we're going to kind of talk through some things, and hopefully maybe there's things you have thought about but haven't thought about them in depth, and we're going to kind of touch on them. Or maybe these are things you haven't thought about yet, and we can bring to light kind of.
Yeah, and the reason why this question is kind of close to us is because we did work at a church for about 3 years for me, or a little over, and a little over 4 years for you. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
At a contemporary, modern, non-denominational church.
Yeah. Just you saying those words, non-denominational, a lot of people said, are probably like cringe. Yeah, you remember telling people that, and I'm like, non-denominational? That's a denomination.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah.
Around 150 to 200, and sometimes more than that.
Yeah. Over 200 was a great. See, there we were talking about numbers again after we just said.
Yeah. But, we think about that.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, you kind of have to, because you got to prepare for, if you're having an event, or even just the simple things, having chairs out, or 2 services like we were doing. If you're planning on having over 200 people, you got to think about, well, this Sunday we may have over 200 people.
Yeah. And so we're kind of, with that, we're kind of going towards the smaller church, because we were part of a small church.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff might come from a small church perspective.
Yeah.
So,
and we feel that, we're not just saying it, we work, like he said, we work in a small church, so we have the same kind of thoughts you do about it, so that's why we want to share our stuff and help. One thing when we were preparing for this, now the overall vibe, the overall thing of a Sunday is that we have most churches are 1 hour. We have 1 hour a week that we're planning for. Let's try to plan the best we can to make that hour great.
Yeah. Of course, this isn't like, this is that 1 hour on Sunday. Of course, we know that ministry is happening throughout the week, but we're just mainly talking about the hour on Sunday, and just talking about why that specific hour is not grown to more people. So,
because you think for 1 hour a week, people show up at a church, for worship, and then to hear usually a single person speak, a single leader like pastor, one guy up there speak. And so we need to make sure that we are putting forth all our effort for that worship to be the best it can be. And now I know there's limitations as far as some of us, you can't afford certain sound equipment or lights. That's okay. All we're saying is really being prepared.
Yeah.
Make sure that your team is prepared and not just winging it on a Sunday morning, and that you as a leader, you have spent time praying over your message, spending time studying your message, and you're not the Saturday night preparer.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about. It's just making sure that everybody is prepared is a good word for it.
For that 1 hour Sunday, and that's what we're talking about growing. So one of the things you said was that a common problem with a church not growing is sometimes the people inside of it are not, like the congregation's not excited for church, because excited people talk about what they're excited for.
Yeah.
And a lot of times.
Yeah, think about like your sports team or a theme park or something or a movie.
Yeah.
You tell somebody about something when you're excited. I think I gave you the example a while back, is that a guy that we know started going to a church, and I ran into him in public, and I knew him previously from another church, and he never talked about that church. But now he was serving at this new church, and he came up to me and said, I asked him where they were, and he told me about the church, and then he would not stop talking about the church, just because he loved so much everything about it. He loved serving. He loved being involved. He felt like he was wanted there. Mm-hmm. And it was cool to see him be so excited about a church that he just walked up to me and started, talking about it.
Yeah, so are people excited about going to your church? That's one thing that's a real big driving factor with growing. Are people sharing about your church and wanting to be there and wanting to, be a part of it? And the next one we're going to talk about kind of goes along with the environment. You talked about this too. Yeah. The environment and the culture of the church. Is it welcoming and inviting? And is it just like being prepared? Is it enjoyable to be there? Yeah. Type of deal.
So I guess it's more of you sit down with your team and kind of say, what makes our service, what makes it our church exciting? Mm-hmm. What makes it enjoyable? How do people feel welcomed here? What is our culture? I remember we sat down and had that talk all the time, like, what culture are we creating here?
Yeah. I feel like that worked because we always kind of went back to the same thing, a very welcoming church. Yeah. And I felt like that's how we were.
We wanted people to walk through and know that they're welcome there no matter their background or anything. Yeah. And then as far as like we talked about exciting, I mean, a thing for us is we try to make the service fun. I feel like worship was kind of exciting. Yeah. Worship was kind of exciting, Yeah. Most times we would usually, like most people do this, but a fast song at the beginning kind of to kind of get people up excited. Yeah. And even if we didn't, we tried to make it enjoyable for people. When they walked in, there wasn't really a lot of surprises each week, and so they weren't getting there and like, whoa, this is different, but they knew what was coming, and we tried to make it as enjoyable as possible.
Yeah. One thing I wrote down next to that one was, do people feel, this is kind of going with the environment or the culture of your church, do they feel hurt when they're leaving, or do they feel hopeful?
Oh, yeah. Did the pastor just rip them a new one the whole time? That's the worst.
I don't want to go to a church and I'm just feel hurt. Like, I went to church. I know that, I'm a sinner, that kind of thing. I want to feel hopeful that there's some hope out there.
I like it, pastors. I like it when the pastor I'm listening to, his vocabulary isn't you need to, it's we. Like, he uses we a lot. So he's included in his message because, that's something sometimes I pick up on. If the pastor's always just saying, you need, y'all, talking about everybody. But when his language changes to we, it kind of brings him in. So it's not so much him getting on to me. It's something we're all learning as together. So if you're not using that language, to kind of include yourself with your congregation, because you have to remember is that the messages you're preaching, we're not perfect at those either. The pastor isn't. So you have to make sure not only you're including yourself in that, but the people know that you're just not fussing at them the whole time, like Miles said, that there's hope because you're included in it and you're going to work as a team to kind of, resolve it.
Yeah. One of the other things, going to the next one, was are things outdated? This is one that I feel like I would not want to go to a church that feels outdated. And I'm kind of just talking about the feel.
Yeah.
One, when you're walking in there, and then two, the trying to think of a good way rather than the not going into the other topics that we have, but is it relevant to what I'm dealing with?
You got,
I mean,
people upgrade phones every year. People upgrade cars, every couple of years. They like to renovate their house, make their house different the seasons. I mean, you'd think it with their church building, it'd kind of be the same. Like, are they walking into just the same old time zone each week, or are you making things look new and fresh? And especially the kids ministry, I don't want to take my kids to something that looks like it's not taken care of.
Yeah, I used to play with that kind of Matchbox toy when I was there.
When you see the same thing. I remember Katie and I went to a church probably about 2 years ago, and it would be considered a mega church, but as soon as you walk in, you feel like you're walking into like the early 2000s. And it was kind of like they got comfortable with that. And so the service felt that way, worship, the preaching, everything felt that way. But I mean, for them, I guess it worked because it's what you consider. But for me, like you said, I like, I want to feel welcome, inviting, fresh, new. Yeah, I like the clean.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes people get, or churches kind of get wrapped up in, if we're changing everything.
Yeah. Oh, people won't like it.
Yeah. Or
we have no values, cores.
They feel like that. Or I'm saying like they feel like God doesn't change. Why do we need to change type of deal? But, feeling new and fresh and moving things around and, it's not a bad thing.
Sure. Like you said, a lot of people are probably thinking, well, the way things look aren't important to what we're trying to accomplish on Sundays, the mission. Yeah. But for your church to grow and for people to come in, especially someone who's never been to church, or they used to a long time ago, and they go now, it needs to be, like we said, welcoming, inviting, clean, fresh. Make it exciting, like we talked about. People don't want to walk in just, it looked dead in there.
Yeah.
Have music playing when people walk in. Don't have it dead quiet and everybody just sitting around.
Staring at each other.
Staring. But like you have in the notes, be open to new and trying stuff.
Need that cough drop again.
I know. Clear my throat.
We can edit it out. Be open and to new things that are around you. I mean, you ain't got to use the same techniques that you've been using for like 50 years type of deal.
Yeah.
There's new ways to do things, and other churches are doing it, and people are coming in because they feel that fresh, new kind of feel. But the thing is that the overall message stays the same, which is good. You know what I mean?
Yep.
The next thing we got is going back to the message is what you're, preaching about or have your sermon about. Is it relevant to what people are dealing with?
Yeah.
Is it something that people are dealing with, or is it something that they don't ever deal with?
Yeah.
Is it teaching? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's nothing wrong with preaching, going through Leviticus.
Yeah.
But is it applicable to people's life? Or are you just wanting to go through Leviticus to say you preach Leviticus? Man, there's so many, like, a lot of people now, there's this whole argument with pastors about preaching topics compared to preaching verses.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I would find a topic that maybe people need to hear and find the verse that supports that. Don't just preach a topic. Like, don't just find, I'm struggling with depression, and you just talk about it and then say, well, God has your back. Find a Bible verse that supports that God has those people, and then preach that. But you need to find what people are dealing with, because I don't want to go and
not be poured into type of deal.
And there's so much going on in our world right now that you can preach carefully topics that people need to hear. But don't be, also, if we're talking about that, don't be rude about it.
Yeah.
You need to be
going back to, are you being hurtful or hopeful?
Because you don't know who's in your audience. You don't know deep down what they're struggling with. You don't know their beliefs unless they're your friend. But most people, you don't know really if they're new to your church, and you're not trying to offend them, because that could be the first time they walk into church and the last time.
And we're not saying that you have to change your whole message to some I don't know, had a pretty message that
just to
doesn't have
cater to
anything.
people to make them happy.
Yeah, no, we're saying that they need to leave hopeful, especially new people that are just now going into church. So they don't leave and just try another church or either not come back to church. They need to be hopeful.
Yeah, because if I leave a church and I just felt beat up the whole time, I'm not going and telling Miles, hey, come with me next Sunday.
Yeah.
It was a great time, I promise. No.
Or if it didn't even apply to anything in your life, you know?
I remember, still to this day, my friend Sean and Tavares talk about, I took them to a church that I went to a long time when I was a kid, and they had a guest speaker, so I wasn't the pastor. And he spoke for like 40 minutes talking about the cicada bugs. And he just kept talking about the cicada bugs. And then the last like 15 minutes of his message was the message, but for like 30 minutes, no joke, about cicada. And all they talk about is, still to this day, if they remember it, they'll say, oh, I don't want to go there because that was, all he talked about was bugs the whole time. And so, I mean, it had nothing to do with their life. There were these college kids going, and here's this guy talking about bugs the whole time. And so people will remember that. And you need to think of things that are applicable to people so they can apply it.
You know what's weird? I feel like we're being like really, I'm trying not to be rude.
Yeah. I don't want nobody mad at it.
I don't want anybody, but I feel like people are going to say, well, y'all telling us to change this, and this. And then, but no, we're trying to help understand, why churches ain't growing.
Yeah.
If
if everything we're saying is offending you, then I'm just kidding.
But just exit out. We don't want you. Anyways, we'll go on to the next one.
On to the next.
All right. So one thing that popped in my mind why the church isn't growing or your church isn't growing is, do people even know how to invite other people?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And with that, are you giving them resources to help invite people?
Yeah, we had a podcast about that. I think it was episode 5 of
Maybe
season 1. But one, do they know how to invite somebody to church? And 2, do they have the resources to invite somebody to church?
Yep.
Because that's super important, especially if you want, you don't want the burden to be all on yourself.
Yeah.
You want to get the congregation to join in and invite people. That's what they're supposed to do anyways. You know?
The church I go to, they still, to this day, use those little cards that just say something extra to show you Jesus loves you. On the back is the name of the church and a website. Yeah. And, their whole thing is grab a few of those and bless people. That's what they tell us. They say grab a few of those cards, bless somebody at a restaurant, bless a waitress, a waiter, and just leave the card kind of deal. Which makes it easy for me, because if I'm going to a restaurant, which we all go to restaurants, and I'm leaving a tip, and I'm trying to invite somebody to church, I don't have to stop the waiter and say, hey, do you go to church? Come to so-and-so. I'm leaving a tip anyways, and I can just leave that card, and that person's either going to be like, oh, well, that's a good representation of the church, or they're going to throw it in the trash. Either one, but it made it very easy for me to invite someone. Yeah,
unless you leave like a quarter tip.
Oh, please don't. That'd be horrible.
Here's your tip.
So invite someone doesn't always have to be, going up, hey, you want to come to church with me Sunday? Yeah. You can give them resources, cards.
Make it easier for them to invite people.
Even if you put out, I think we did this one time, we put out a social media graphic and tell people to screenshot it and share it on their page.
Now that worked.
Yeah. Average people have hundreds of friends on Facebook and Instagram. And if they just share something that says, hey, come to so-and-so church, they're reaching people that I wouldn't be able to reach because I'm not friends with them. So are you helping your people invite others to your church? Yeah.
So the last one, I don't even know what time we got. The time working.
Yeah, we're good. We're about to be around 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. The last one is, do people even know anything about you? How many churches are around us that you don't know anything about, I don't know anything about. And I try to go look up like a website or something. They don't have anything. Facebook is from 2012.
When I tried to find some websites so I can contact some pastors, kind of talk to them, you wouldn't understand how hard it is in this area. And we have a sheet of paper that has like 100-something churches.
Yeah, it was a newspaper clipping.
Yeah, I went down it probably about halfway. So say I went about 50. I probably could only find 10 to 15 up-to-date Facebook pages or up-to-date websites.
But Casey, all that stuff takes time to update that stuff. What should we do? I got you.
Tell me what to do.
You don't have to do it every single day.
You don't.
All you need is your social media needs to encourage your congregation, and I would believe that your website would just be there. There's a hair flying around.
See everything with these
I
lights
know.
now.
Hey, we got new lights.
Yeah, that's why we look so good right now.
It's
New
blinding.
lights.
But your website is there to have information about your church. And you can share, of course, on your social media too. But social media is supposed to be social. So you're getting connected with people and encouraging people. That's what your church is supposed to do.
Yep.
And it doesn't have to be every single thing, everyday thing. But, just having an up-to-date website and then...
Make it easy. Make it very clean.
Yeah.
Probably now, if you don't... For most people... Unless you're a person that has somebody on staff specifically for that stuff. Mm-hmm. One of the worst things you do on a website is put like a calendar, like an event calendar, because you're not going to remember to take off previous. Mm-hmm. So like he said, use your social media. Hey, we got meals coming up this week. We're going to feed people. Mm-hmm. Put it on social media, because after it's done, it's still on your page, but it's not something like a website where it's just floating. Everybody like, oh, that's from 2019.
If I had a suggestion of what pages you need on your website, it'd be the home page.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because on the home page, we have 5 websites that we keep up with.
Yeah, I think so.
And every single one, the home page, that's the main one. Mm-hmm. Everybody goes to the home page.
Yep.
That's the first one they click on.
When you look at your analytics, that's the
that's the big one. So always have a home page, and then while you're there, just go ahead and put your about right there. Put everything right there. Just kind of have a one page. You can have a contact on there, and then some next steps.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's something very simple.
Very easy, yeah. That doesn't have to be maintained. And I think we've said this before, but if you need help with any of that, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help you.
Yeah.
Because like we said, our goal isn't just to crush and say why your church isn't growing, but we want to help your church grow. Mm-hmm. And a website is a huge one. So if you're struggling with that, we would love to help you in any way possible. To even the resources to invite people, we could help with that as well.
Oh yeah.
Because that's probably gonna be the quickest way you grow is word of mouth, right? Or people inviting.
No, that's what on one of our episodes we talked about that.
Oh yeah, the numbers behind it.
Yeah, 70% compared to just advertisements on Facebook or TV, stuff like that. 70% of it was from people actually going and talking to somebody else. So we already know that the way you're gonna grow your church is to have the congregation go out there and hand out and say and invite people that way.
And you can get up there and tell people to invite people to come to church every week, but if you can give them something to help them, it'd make your life so much easier, and I promise you'll see some kind of return. And
that's what. So we were going back to the very beginning is have people excited, and that 1 hour that you have on Sunday, somewhat 1 hour, you'll have more time to prepare for it when you're having a congregation go out and inviting people.
So, real quick, we'll do. We didn't plan this, but let's do a quick recap of what we covered.
Yeah.
Make that 1 hour. Not even it doesn't have to be great, but talking about be prepared.
Yeah.
So don't think you have to spend all this money, all this stuff. Be prepared for Sunday mornings. That's a big one.
Get people excited.
Yep. People excited. Doing that, just talk about what you've done as a church. That would get me excited if I hear, hey, we've given this much to this place, or we've helped this person do that. Share that kind of stuff with people. They love to hear it. The culture of your church, to make people feel welcomed. I know it's kind of hard now with COVID. Usually a greeter at the door is a great way to make people feel welcome.
Yeah, and
do it safely, but
with masks on and stuff like that.
Make it enjoyable, make it fun. Really, church doesn't have to be miserable each Sunday. What else we have?
If you don't want to feel like you're walking into the past, so make sure it's up to date.
Up to date,
and just fresh. I think we were saying that fresh, keeping it fresh.
Hey, an easy way to do that. I just thought about this is new signs, not the expensive kind outside, but new signs that or new color schemes. It's kids ministry this way, bathrooms this way, stuff like that to make people walk in. Because your walls could look the same, your building could look the same, but if I walk in and see a fresh, new, colorful sign, I feel like something's new.
And it doesn't have to be every Sunday.
No.
Just kind of every, or maybe a quarter.
Yeah. Make sure people aren't leaving hurt, like you said, but they feel like hopeful. You've helped them. Yeah, helpful. You've helped them. I think this was on here somewhere. We talked, just enjoyable. Mix things in like we talked about. It doesn't have to be every week, but maybe once or twice a year. Do something different just for people to be like, oh, that was fun, kind of deal.
Yeah, excited about the church,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Another one was when you're having a message, make sure it applies to what people are going through.
Oh, yeah.
So that way they're getting poured into, and that way they'll want to come back
Yep.
and get more poured into.
Leviticus is okay. Make it apply to people. Don't just preach through it.
Another thing is make sure people have the resources and know-how on how to
Yeah.
invite somebody.
Prepare your people
Prepare.
to invite. Don't just tell them to invite. Help them. Some people don't know how to invite people to church.
It can be scary and awkward
Yeah.
for people. Just help them and teach them and give them resources to invite.
Yeah, that's when the social media and like cards or anything like that is great for people that don't like to talk to people. That's a great way for them to still share, still feel like they've done something to help. And then your website, keep it up to date. It doesn't have to have crazy stuff on it, like Miles said, but make sure when somebody goes there, one doesn't say web address not found.
Yeah.
Don't be putting your domain out there if it doesn't lead to a website.
Yeah, and make sure, and with that, make sure people know about you, know where to find you,
Yeah.
your address, and know what your church is about.
If you don't have a website, make sure you get one, and we can help with that. If you want to reach out to us, we'd love to help you with that.
Yeah.
Read that last line you have right there. That'll help. That's a good one.
Yeah. So overall, now these are just the common things that we've seen
Yeah.
when we were working at church and with other churches that have come to us before
Yeah.
to ask about this kind of thing. But the best thing for you to do is to actually take a step back and just be honest with yourself. Like, hey, what can we change around here?
Yeah.
It's been looking like this for 10 years, and we're not growing. And it might be the church. It might be
Yeah.
like the building that it's not welcoming. So how can we make it more welcoming
Yep.
and enjoyable? And another thing, too, is to ask for, like, an outsider's opinion. I mean, you have friends. Just go ask them, like, hey,
Yeah.
what would make this more enjoyable for
Let them.
people?
Something a buddy of mine does when he speaks, or when he was at church, he would send me his message and say, "Hey, look at this and tell me, was this interesting, or did you lose interest, or what can I do better?" So don't be afraid to send that and ask for people's opinions and thoughts back, because we can only get better when we do get others to help us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can't do it by yourself.
Can't do it by yourself. We believe that the church is better when we work together.
And that's a good transition.
Yeah, you know it is.
We just launched a
Should I see how many minutes we have on our, or we can just keep the GoPro going?
yeah, it don't matter.
Okay.
I haven't heard them clicked off yet.
Nah, it should be probably in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah. So one of the newest things that SH Creative Co. has created is a website for churches and ministry leaders. And what it is basically a big forum where anybody can come and ask a question.
Yep.
And our goal is that if somebody has a question on one side of the country, maybe on the other side of the country somebody has an answer to the problem that they have or a question that they have.
Well, we know someone has an answer. We hope that they find this, because we want to kind of connect people.
Yeah, really, this is just a big place to connect with each other. We want it to be a safe place. It's called Church Rework. ChurchRework.com. You go there, you click on forum. There's already some preset categories, and you can always add some in the category that says, suggest a category.
Very simple and easy to use.
It's really easy to use. And it's small right now because we just launched it, but we want this thing to grow.
It's really the first time we talked about it.
Yeah. It's really, I would like this to be like one of the main resources on a church's, on a pastor's computer.
Yeah.
Just like they have their.
I know we could have
something.
used it for sure when.
Oh, yeah. It's right there to wherever they need.
Because how many times do you go on Google and search, how can I something, or what to do when something, breaks, and it leads you most likely to a forum.
Yeah.
I've been to plenty of Apple forums trying to figure out my phone and computer, but there's nothing like that. Like if I was to type in, how to make my student ministry more exciting. There's no answers like that on a forum.
Yeah, usually it's like a blog or something, but then you still get one perspective.
Yep.
We're wanting
conversation.
Conversation, different perspectives. Maybe one thing worked for this church and they wanted to share it, but it didn't work for this church, and they showed the reasons why.
Yeah.
But a church in the middle can use those perspectives and make something new.
Yeah. And so we're excited about it. If you don't mind, if you are in ministry, go check that out and then share it with just one person for us, so that we can kind of get some feedback and kind of get it going. And
it still needs. I think it still needs some work.
Yeah,
we already have plans to at the beginning of the year to start working on a kind of like a version 2, a 2.0 of it.
We tend to do that with our websites, but luckily this one is going to be way easier to.
Way easier. With.
But I'm excited about it, and so we're hoping it can be a resource for you. But there's already some questions on there that people have put. You can go respond and help them out, or if you have a question, you can go put it, and then somebody will respond. And
you're able to make profiles on the. Whoops! I accidentally hit the mic. You're able to make profiles.
Yeah.
With this forum, and it's best to make a profile, but if you have like a sensitive topic, you can remain anonymous and post it on there still. So that's one thing that's really neat about it that I like.
Yep. So check that out, churchrework.com. And you can also, don't forget about Church Motive. We're adding new stuff to it, especially with the holidays coming up. There's about to be some Thanksgiving and Christmas series on there.
Oh yeah.
And remember, it's only $20. You can't beat it. $20, you get the whole package deal.
You don't have to get sucked into a subscription.
No subscription. That's the best part. So you don't have to forget about that you're paying for subscription. There's none of that. It's $20 and you have it. And there's so many, like, even if you see something you like, but the title maybe you want tweaked or changed, feel free to email us or the contact page, and we'd love to work with you and kind of get it what you need.
Yeah, you'll see a button on there that says retitle this series or something like that.
Yeah.
And you just click it, fill it out, and then it'll send to us.
So that's pretty much that. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
Make sure it would help us a lot if you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see these new episodes, and then you can listen to them on iTunes and all that. That'd help us. Check it out at churchmode.com and Church Rework for new stuff being added all the time.
Oh yeah.
See you later.
You gotta try that one again.
What the hell?
No, yes, you said see you later.
Oh, see you later.
See ya.
Sorry, I think I got occupied closing out. I was like focused on closing out stuff.
Yeah. Oh, we're still rolling, so you can try it one more time.
See you later.
See you later.
Dead. Man, these lights look nice.